everyone, welcome to Showcase 5 Video 2. You're about to see all the entrants for our 5th showcase, which was to create a flag for Benelux. 23 of you will be participating, so competition is going to be ferocious. And don't forget, we also have the Flag This Ghost Flag. As usual, we're not going to reveal who the creators of the flags are in this video, so you won't know which flag is ours. But don't worry, in the next video, when we reveal the results, we will reveal all the creators. Also for this showcase, we're going to include the unofficial flag of Benelux, which was created many years ago and is sometimes used to depict the Union. This was suggested to us by Azuki Guardian, who thought it would be a good idea to compare the score of this flag to all the entries. We thought this was a great idea, so we will include this flag at the end. And just before we reveal the flags, the link to the ranking form is in the video description where you can rank each flag on a scale of 0 to 10. So let's check out the flags. Here is the first entry. Modern technologies such as printing and new materials allow for more complex shapes and designs. As such, the background of the flag is supposed to be made of a transparent material, representing the transparency of governments and administration. The golden lion was taken from the coats of arms of Belgium and the Netherlands, with the red mane of the lion of Luxembourg. The lion also is facing the other way to symbolize how things are getting turned around. The blue stripe comes from the flags of the Netherlands and Luxembourg, but also represents integration into the European community. Next up is this one. The red represents the Netherlands, the yellow for Belgium, and the light blue represents Luxembourg, the 3 countries that made up the Union. The black star in the middle is for the unity between the 3 countries. Next is entry 3. The cross shape represents Christianity, the religion of all 3 states. The red is a mix of the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium's shades of red. The blue is a mix of the Netherlands and Luxembourg's shade of blue. The black and the yellow are from the Belgian flag and coat of arms. The yellow, red, yellow pattern represents the lions on the coat of arms. Next is entry 4. The proportions of this flag are 2 to 3. The flag is divided horizontally in 2, the upper half of which is then equally divided by 3 vertical stripes, style of Belgian flag, whilst the lower half is uniformly divided by 3 horizontal stripes, in the style of the Dutch and Luxembourgish flags. Black represents Belgium, orange represents the Netherlands, and light blue represents Luxembourg. The reason the colors of this flag are in the black, orange, light blue order is to spell Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, i.e. Benelux. Next is entry 5. Red represents the Dutch, yellow represents the Belgians, and the dark blue represents the Luxembourgers. Next is entry 6. The red symbolizes the Netherlands and the Dutch. White is for Belgium and the Belgians. The blue is for Luxembourg and the Luxembourgers. The color shades come from the flag of Luxembourg. The black stars represent each nation. Next is entry 7. The 3-pointed star design represents the fact that Benelux is made up of 3 nations. It also resembles the blades of a modern wind turbine, and the region is famous for the use of wind power through the historical use of windmills. The 5 colors of the flag are the 5 colors seen on the national flags of the 3 countries. Red represents the life of the people and is placed on top because red is the only color common to all 3 national flags. Black represents the strength to overcome hardships. Blue represents loyalty to the common goals of the 3 nations. The yellow triangle represents the unity and wealth of the 3 nations, and the white field represents peace and cooperation. Next is entry 8. The flag is split into 3 segments, which represent how the Benelux Union is composed of 3 sovereign nations. The central blue band strewn with yellow rectangles represents 2 things. It could be a stripped-back version of the coat of arms of the Netherlands, thus representing Dutch culture and heritage within the Union. It could be a simplification of the historical coat of arms of France, thus representing French culture and heritage within the Union. The yellow rectangles may also be interpreted as golden bars, and so may symbolize the profitability and economic benefits of the Union. The white symbolizes peace, stability, and amicability, and the wavy line division is a nod to their very low altitude, a geographical characteristic that all countries within Benelux share. Furthermore, the overall color palette is distinct from the national flags of the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg as not to show favoritism towards any of the nations, and so that it would not get lost when flown alongside the national flags during official meetings. Next up is entry 9. Blue represents Europe. White represents peace after Germany invaded them in both world wars. The gray represents steel and coal, as the Benelux countries were founders of the European steel and coal community. The triangle represents the three nations of Benelux. Next is entry 10. The red field symbolizes the bloodshed over the past centuries, as this is a region that has been fought over quite a lot throughout history. The three crowns each represent one of the three monarchies in the area. They are golden yellow to symbolize the wealth of the region as well as hope for a bright future. Next is entry 11. Red at the top represents the Netherlands. Black in the center represents Belgium. Blue on the bottom represents Luxembourg. In the middle of the flag is a lion's claw, in three parts to represent three countries of Benelux. The yellow color represents the lion used on all three coats of arms, and the color is also used on the Belgium flag. The white color around the lion claw represents the white color used on the flags of the Netherlands and Luxembourg. Next is entry 12. The three stars in the middle represent the three nations of the Benelux. The black star represents Belgium, the red star represents the Netherlands, and the light blue star represents Luxembourg. The red, white, and blue behind the stars represents the Netherlands, which has played a major role in Benelux history. The Kingdom of the Netherlands once united the Benelux region. The yellow stripe at the bottom represents Belgium. The light blue stripe at the top represents Luxembourg. Next is entry 13. The background colors represent the amalgamation of the black, yellow, red, and the red, white, blue of the Belgian and Luxembourg flags respectively. The rampant lion charged in the center is akin to the coat of arms of all three nations, but more so the Netherlands, which, so not to be undervalued, is also fimbriated by a thin outline of orange, the national color of the Dutch. The five colored stripes coming to a point in the corner also signifies the unification of all three countries. Next we have entry 14. Black represents the Belgian part. It's a bit bigger because the creator chose Brussels as the capital. Red represents the Dutch part. Blue represents the Luxembourger part. White represents the peace and unity of these nations. Red, white, and blue together also represent the Netherlands and Luxembourg. The three stars represent the three united countries. The lion represents Benelux. Next is entry 15. Red represents the people. White is for nobility. Gold is for independence. Black is for the land, blue for the water, and the cross represents Christian heritage and history within the region. Next up is entry 16. Blue represents peace, wisdom, and valor, and is a mix of the shades used on the flags of the Netherlands and Luxembourg. Yellow represents tranquility and prosperity, and is the shade used on the Belgian flag. Red represents valor, honor, and bravery, and is a mix of the shades used on the flags of Belgium and the Netherlands. Next is entry 17. Black, yellow, and red represent Belgium, while red, white, and blue represent both the Netherlands and Luxembourg. As for the colors by themselves, red represents the blood of those who fought for the countries. Yellow represents the energy and happiness of the people. Blue represents peace. Black represents the courage to face danger in whatever form it takes. And white represents purity. The two yellow stripes converging into one represent the unity of Benelux. The triangle could be seen as an arrow pointing forward representing the progress of the Union, and the star represents the hope for a bright future. Next is entry 18. Orange represents the unification and strength of the three countries and pays tribute to the past as one unified kingdom. It also pays homage to the national color of Netherlands. The bright blue represents Luxembourg and the freedom of the newly formed country. The middle represents the current flag of Belgium. Next is entry 19, which has a separate obverse and reverse design. For the obverse, the red stripe was taken from all three national flags and placed on the top due to it being first for all three of them individually. Red represents Hollanda, which is Netherlands in Japanese, and which translates to Orange Land. Its characteristic is blood and valor. The black stripe was taken from Belgium alone. It represents its pride and heritage. The color black specifically refers to the country's claims of succession, as in it claims to be the rightful heir of previous nations in their territories and their right to independence. The yellow core was also taken from Belgium alone. It represents brilliance in both culture and fertility in the land and people. The blue griffin represents Hollanda and Luxembourg together. Blue represents loyalty and royalty, while the griffin represents dexterity, chivalry, and aviation. The flag itself is the more liberal design. Next, for the reverse. Red is the same symbolism as before. The blue stripe was taken from Hollande and Luxembourg, the latter shade being used for contrast. It represents the Union's rivers in addition to loyalty and royalty. The black core represents grief and sorrow towards themselves and no mercy for offenders. The gold griffin represents the people's keen sights on life in addition to righteousness. This is usually the more conservative design, for it is a flag used during times of mourning and strife, while the obverse is more during times of peace and happiness. Next is entry 20. The colors of the flag represents the three countries of the Benelux Union, with black, yellow, and red representing Belgium, and red, white, and blue representing the Netherlands and Luxembourg. Next up is entry 21. The colors orange, black, and blue are the national colors of the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, respectively, in roughly their geographic positions. The direction of the stripes symbolizes progression, the two white stripes represent peace and harmony, and the white star represents the capital, Amsterdam. Next is entry 22. The creator wanted to be straightforward. Benelux is the Netherlands plus Belgium plus Luxembourg. Simple and efficient. Next is entry 23. Red symbolizes blood and bravery. White symbolizes peace and innocence. Blue symbolizes loyalty and perseverance. Black represents the Black Lion of Flanders, a historical region in the Low Countries. Finally, we have entry 24. Red represents the Netherlands. Yellow represents Belgium, and blue represents Luxembourg. The shades were all taken from the respective national flags. The charge consists of a stylized windmill for the Netherlands, whose left side also resembles the profile of a lion, the symbol of Luxembourg, that's also represented on their second unofficial flag, and the top of the windmill was given a pointy shape to evoke Belgium's crown. And as promised, here is the unofficial flag of Benelux. The flag is a composition of the three national flags, with the horizontal tricolors of the Netherlands and Luxembourg, along with the black of the Belgian flag. It is charged with a yellow lion used on the coats of arms of Belgium and the Netherlands, and is also very similar to the red lion used on the coat of arms of Luxembourg. So those were all the flags. Be sure to have your say by ranking all the flags on the ranking form. The closing date for voting is May 14th, 2022. We will try to get the results video published as soon as we can after the closing date. The flag with the highest score will have their flag reviewed in that video. Best of luck, everyone, and may the best flag win.